The earth is shaking. Who gon' save the babies from another bloody Sunday? I'm singing Mayday, Mayday. They love me or they hate me for my skin color, but you say I am your brother.
The government keep lying to me, telling me that they come to set the people free. But the power falls when you catch us on the knees. Heaven please, we're in a state of emergency. See, we need a strong God.
What's good, wonderful people? Listen, man, this is your boy, Pastor Shy, and I am excited to start what I'm calling a Black History Month podcast entitled Christ, Color, and Culture, right? Christ, Color, and Culture. Now listen, I'm so excited, I forgot to tell you what to do. Because before we jump into this podcast, you know the routine. Do me a favor. Would you share this right now, right? Are you subscribed to our Facebook page, right? Please make sure you do so that you can be notified whenever we go live and wherever we're dropping brand new content. So I want to say thank you in advance for taking a second and just sharing this with somebody else. But as I said, this is a Black History Month series, right? We are celebrating Black history, Black culture. And so I just thought that it would be nice just to take a little bit of time to have what I call a real conversation about what it means to be Black in America. And then also, what does it mean to be a believer, a follower of Christ, a Christian, while still maintaining my Blackness, our Blackness, for those of us who are African American. And so tonight's gonna be a beginning of just a 4-part series, right? And we're gonna dig a little deep into some of the subjects, the topics that I believe are important to you and I. Tonight's topic is simply entitled, It's Not the Same, right? It's not the same. And so as I said, I live in a world, me personally, where I'm Black, I'm a Christian, and I'm also an American. And many of you have heard this notion that America is a Christian nation, right? Some of you have been taught that, some of you may believe that. And that's up for debate, right? But one thing I will say about America as it relates to being a Christian nation, I've noticed that there are a lot of things that are associated with America that are, number one, not Christian, and number two, they don't benefit Black Americans. Because as a Black American, many of us face challenges as not just Black people, but again, I use the phrase, as Black Americans. And one of the challenges that we face, especially in today's time, is this mindset that racism no longer exists in America. Now, there are even some who not only subscribe to this notion that racism no longer exists in America, they'll tell you that racism is dead. And for a season, some of us may have even tried to believe that. But if you live a little while, you'll find out that the same way you might believe that racism is dead, there are too many things that have happened that come to remind us that it is still alive. And I don't want to say in well, but it's still alive, right? I remember, I think it was around 2008, when I had the privilege of seeing the first Black American president being elected. Oh, what a day that was. Y'all remember that day? Many of us celebrated. Many of us felt hopeful. Many of us have felt that maybe we have turned the corner when it comes to racism, because we didn't just elect a Black guy, we elected a Black guy named Barack Hussein Obama. Yeah, we have turned the corner. And just when we were celebrating this amazing feat, one day I turned on the news, you turned on the news, and we saw that a young Black man armed with nothing but a hoodie and a bag of Skittles, was hunted down, treated like a criminal, and killed. If that wasn't enough, the news comes on again, and we see not only was this young man named Trayvon Martin killed, also we lost another even younger man named Tamir Rice. And what about Sandra Bland, Eric Garner, Philando Castile? And I just can give you a host of other names of black people who were unfortunately killed at the hands of police officers. Those who are sworn to protect and serve didn't seem like they served nor protected these black and brown men and women. Now, before you go off on me and tell me how Pastor Shah, all police are not bad, I absolutely agree with you. Before you want to, remind me that there are some great police officers who are often putting their lives on the risk to save others, again, I say, I absolutely believe you. But with that being said, can we not admit that there might be something wrong when these young people, these older people, these black people, these brown people are seemingly losing their lives to the same group of police officers that may not have taken the life of somebody who was not a person of color? I mean, come on now. Tamir Rice was gunned down as a 12-year-old because he was playing with a toy gun. But then a young white man can go into a church armed with an assault rifle, kill 8 people who were there to worship God. And not only was he not killed, he was taken to Burger King before he was taken to the police station. And I don't even have time to talk about the young man who just murdered those people in a Buffalo supermarket, but yet he's still living to see another day. Guys, we can't call ourselves reasonable people and not even step back and say there has to be something wrong when one group of people can be killed so quickly while the other group of people can be given the benefit of the doubt for the same, and if not a worse, crime. Because the truth of the matter is that even after having a black president, black people in America are still the most incarcerated, are still over-policed more than other groups of this nation. Black people in America, even after having the black president, are still the most unemployed and underpaid. After having not just Barack, but his wife Michelle as the president and the first lady, we still find out that black people are still the most disenfranchised people in America. And if you don't believe any of that is a sign that it's not the same, or some things still haven't changed, what about the fact that we elected a president whose slogan was, "It's time to make America great again"? Now, the question I ask, and so many people of my culture, we ask, is when was America ever great for black people? I mean, are you talking about going back to the time when we were slaves? Are you talking about, of course not, some of you say, no, Pastor Shot, not slavery. Well, what about the Jim Crow days? What about the fact that even after all of those things have transpired, we're still fighting for basic human rights? When was America ever great for African Americans? Because from the time we first arrived here on slave ships, and unfortunately in many ways, even until this present day, black people have had to live with the reality that the American dream, the promise of America, never initially had black people in mind. When the Constitution of the United States was written, it was not written for black people. Remember, at that time, we were considered 3/5 of a man. And so when the writer wrote, and we declare that all men are created equal, they did not include black people as all men. And so I hear you guys, I hear you. Some of you are saying, well, Pastor Shy, I think that you're over-exaggerating. It cannot be that bad. Well, recently, there was a show I watched on Netflix, and there was a story of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, right? And what was interesting is that if you let her tell her side of the story, she'll tell you how she grew up as a mixed child, having a Caucasian father and a black mother, and the love that she experienced from all races, and how for her, in many instances, race was never really something that she dealt with, right? Most of her friends were Caucasian, and there's nothing wrong with that. She had Caucasian family members who loved her and she loved them. And just when it seemed like she lived in the world post-race, all of a sudden, race became the forefront of her life. Because when she married Prince Harry, it just seemed like everything about their marriage, about their union, and even their children was all based upon her being a black American. Now, I know that there are some people that would love to sing the lyrics of that 80s song. People are people, so why should it be? You and I should get along so awfully. You know, you remember that. Because the song was saying, why are we having so many differences, arguments, challenges, when at the end of the day, people are people? And to that I say, it's true. People are all people, but that does not mean that all people have the same experiences. It is possible that if you're not a black person, that you may absolutely enjoy black culture. You may listen to black artists and they can be the artists that you listen to the most. And catch this, you may even have sincere relationships with black people that you call dear friends. And while all of that can and probably is very true, it doesn't negate the fact that in order to fully understand the black experience, you have to be a person of color. And how about instead of trying to convince ourselves that there's no difference in being a black person, white, nor brown, why not take a second to appreciate our differences? Because the fact that it's not the same is not always negative, right? There are some wonderful things that we can learn from each other. There's some wonderful things that we can gain from each other. But we'll never enjoy our differences if we don't realize that we are all different. And so on this episode, I just wanted to encourage you, black man, black woman, be proud of your heritage. Be proud to call yourself a black or African American. And if you're not, that's okay too. But let's settle one thing, that we're not all the same, not as it relates to our upbringing, our experiences, or our culture. And you know what? That's all right. And so for the next few weeks, we're going to keep on talking. And I hope you enjoyed this. Share this. Let somebody know that Pastor Shy is doing some pretty fun, pretty interesting, and pretty powerful teaching during this month that we get to highlight and celebrate the contributions, the lives, and even the culture of those who are black in America. God bless you, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
I'm not here in the flesh, you can take it or not. I'm not claiming, pretending to be what I'm not. I ain't nobody's